Welcome back to Trying to Figure This Out podcast. I appreciate you spending a few moments with me today. For those of you who are new to the podcast, first and foremost, thank you for finding us. Secondly, you have tuned into the weekly check-in. This is the micro podcast between the weekly shows. This is where I like to check in for a moment and talk about what's been going on with me, my thoughts since the last time we came together. Quickly, I wanted to share with you that I've had an opportunity to get a little feedback from friends and family, and it's been greatly appreciated. As this podcast was developed and is developing, I will continue to make tweaks until I am completely satisfied with the product. Let's just say we're getting there, and I appreciate the love and patience. With that being said, guys, let's jump right in. Sometimes life has a funny way of reinforcing things that you've already been thinking about. A few days ago, I had the opportunity to go to New York City. One of the reasons I went up there was to see Jay-Z perform an album that he recorded over 25 years ago. 25 years, guys. Just saying that out loud makes me stop for a second. As I sat there listening to those songs, I wasn't just hearing music. I was reminiscing about a time in my life. It took me back, way back, 25 years to be exactly. You don't realize how fast life moves on. I began to think about who I was then, what I thought my life was going to look like, the people who were part of that chapter, the dreams I had, the worries I carried. It was amazing how quickly all of that came rushing back. And it made me realize something. We don't just remember songs, we remember versions of ourselves. That got me to thinking. Over the last few weeks, we've been talking a lot about honoring the chapters that have shaped us. We've talked about loyalty, we've talked about growth, and we've talked about what we are becoming as people. Then I'm sitting in Yankee Stadium listening to music that's 25 years old, and I realized something that I hadn't expected. Nostalgia isn't about wanting to go back, at least not for me anymore. When I was younger, I think I looked back wishing I could relive certain moments. Now, I look back differently. I look back with gratitude, not because those years were perfect. They weren't by any stretch of the imagination. Not because I would go back and live them again, because I wouldn't. I look back because every season of my life gave me something I'll carry into the next one. It reminded me of a young man who was trying to figure life out. A young man, a young father, and a young professional. He didn't have all the answers, but here's what hit me. I was doing the best that I could with what I knew at the time. I think sometimes we're so hard on our younger selves. We judge decisions without remembering the person who had to make them. The truth is, the man I was 25 years ago couldn't possibly know what the 51-year-old version of me knows today. And that's okay. Growth isn't supposed to work that way. If anything, looking back reminded me that every version of me has been preparing for this version of me. The 25-year-old didn't know he was preparing to become a husband for more than 20 years. He didn't know that he was preparing to become a father of four incredible children. He didn't know he was preparing for a career in education that would allow him to impact thousands of young people. And he most definitely didn't know he'd be sitting behind a microphone having this conversation. He was simply living life. And maybe that's all any of us can really do. Maybe we spend too much time trying to predict the ending instead of appreciating the chapters that we're living in. One of the things that really stayed with me from New York wasn't the music at all, even though Ho was incredible. It was realizing how much I've changed. The songs hadn't changed. The lyrics meant something different because the world was much different, and so was I. I find that interesting. The same song, the same words, and a completely different listener. Maybe life works the same way. Maybe the experiences we've already had keep revealing new meanings as we grow. That's why I don't think looking back is dangerous. I think living there is. Looking back with gratitude reminds us of how far we've come, and living in the past keeps us from seeing where we're going. For me, the trip reminded me that I don't need to become the person I was 25 years ago. I just need to honor him, because without him, I wouldn't be the man I am today. So here's the question I've been carrying with me ever since I got home. When was the last time you looked back? Not with regret, not wishing you could change something, but simply with gratitude. Gratitude for the person you were, gratitude for the lessons you learned, gratitude for the season that shaped you. Because maybe looking back isn't meant to make us miss the past. Maybe it's meant to remind us of what we've done. Or maybe it's meant to remind us that we've been growing all along. And before we get together again, I want you to pay attention to something. The next time an old song comes on, or you're driving through your old neighborhood, or you're looking at an old picture, don't ask yourself what you remember. Ask yourself this: what does this memory tell me about the person I've become? I have a feeling the answer might surprise you. Thank you for spending a few minutes with me. I appreciate you being on this journey. I'll see you next time. Until then, keep asking better questions.